Robinson, Lenard Norris, Doc Greenlee, and Perry Thompson. Those are a few of the cast members that are no longer with us. I always like to mention the fact that they are no longer here. The script was written by Sam Greenlee and Mel Clay. And in 2012, it was added to the National Film Registry in Washington, D.C. And the film registry chooses 25 films that are artistically, historically, or aesthetically significant. And so the Spook was added to that list.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about how you guys got the film made?
Well, initially, we had to do it, what's called guerrilla style. People had to, we had to sneak around in Chicago and steal shots because the mayor at that time, the original Mayor Daley, wouldn't allow the film to be made there. So we grabbed footage. When you see the footage on the elevator, for example, the subway elevator, those were just taken. You know, we just got on, paid the money to get on the train and just went and shot it. But Mayor Hatcher from Gary, Indiana, was kind enough to let his city be used. As a matter of fact, when you see the scenes where the riots take place, he gave us 2 city blocks that we could burn down. And as you'll see in the film, that's exactly what happened with it. So without Mayor Hatcher, the film wouldn't have been done. And it was completely financed with black money. An attorney, Thomas Newsom, put up the majority of the money for the film, and it was all done by black folks.
My understanding from Mr. Greenlee is that the film company didn't know what they had put in the theaters. What was that process like? What happened by the time they figured it out?
You know, as I said earlier, they thought it was a different kind of movie. They thought it was some kind of ghost story. So when they saw that it was a revolutionary film, they became shocked. And in a few weeks after it opened, the FBI went to the theaters and shut it down. And for years, the film had disappeared. No one could find a print of it. It was just gone. And Tim Reed and Daphne Maxwell Reed, that you'll know from Fresh Prince and Sister Sister, through their investigations, they were able to find a print of the film and digitally restore it. But it was labeled under another film. And had someone after going through the archives and finding it, it probably would have been destroyed. So it was a great thing for them to go back and redo the color and redo the sound on the film.
Can you tell us what is so dangerous about this movie that it had to be hidden? And at that time, in the early 70s, what made this film that much more dangerous?
Well, when you see the film, what you'll realize is that the movement that Sam Greenlee constructed in the film actually could have been done. It was about going undercover and organizing street gangs for the benefit of the black community. One of Sam Greenlee's quotes is that a free black mind is a weapon of mass destruction. And when you pull us together as a group, we have the tendency to change and to master almost everything. There's a scene in the film where this social worker and policeman is talking, and the social worker said that, I want to get his quote right, you think that because you have a badge and I have a couple of degrees, that makes us different? You know what white folks call us, me and you behind our backs or in private? Niggas, dogs, niggas. And so one of the things that happened in this film is that it made people aware that irrespective of what arena you're in, what you select your job to be, you have an obligation and a responsibility to stand up for your community. So in that regard, it made an extremely dangerous film because it gave the gang members an opportunity to organize. It gave the black community a different way to look at what their roles and responsibilities were. It also gave professionals a way to say, I'm now going to, even though I got to do it behind the door, I'm going to go into these corporations, I'm going to go into these businesses, I'm going to learn everything that I can learn and go back to the black community and be responsible for helping it to be uplifted. For those of you college students that are there, the real question becomes like, why are you becoming educated? Like, why are you in school? For what end? If your education does not lead to the improvement of your life and the life of your people, then for what reason are you being educated? Education for the sake of just education just means that you have empty bodies and empty souls with a little information in your head. And so the obligation of those of you that are here in this room is to say, I'm going to educate myself, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to improve the quality of life for the citizens in my community. I'm going to reinvest in my community. I'm going to ensure that we're in a better place. And that's what the film represents.
How do you find it stacks up against today's films?
Well, it's amazing. When you're shooting a film, you never know what the life expectancy of that film is going to be. You expect to shoot it and then it to just kind of go away or be sitting on the shelf. But Spook That's Set by the Door has had a long life. It has contributed to the development of a lot of filmmakers. So when you talk to people like Robert Townsend, when you talk to Spike Lee, when you talk to John Singleton, a lot of them will say that the Spook That's Set by the Door had an enormous impact on their lives and them becoming filmmakers. I had dinner once with one of the top brain surgeons in the world. His name is Keith Black. You all can look him up. Dr. Keith Black. He runs the surgical brain department at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in LA. And he asked me, did I know about the Spook That's Set by the Door? And of course I told him what my background with the film was. And he said, that's how I feel every day. Even though I'm the best person at my job in the world, and every doctor in the world that requires a brain aneurysm removed or some kind of brain surgery comes to me, I still have to be the Spook That's Set by the Door. I still can't say what I want to say. I still can't stand up for black folks and their rights. And so I have to shield myself and what I truly believe. And we have to get out of the mindset and position of being able to do that. If we don't stand up for ourselves, then who does? When we look back at slavery, when we came out of slavery, black folks put their money together and built cities. They built churches. They built monuments. And you look back at that and you say, well, if I'm coming out of slavery, where do I get money from to be able to build a Black Wall Street, which is one of the most valuable pieces of real estate and business in the world? It's because they had a commitment to building a foundation for themselves and for each other. Education was extremely important. Reading was extremely important. And just as a point, to be free, all it required was a note, a handwritten note. And most Europeans from that era were not educated either. And so that's why it was so valuable for us not to be able to read and write. Because if you could read and write, you could write your own note to freedom. You just handwrite your note and get on a horse and show it down the line, all the way to freedom. That's how important education was. And so we came out of slavery with broken hearts, broken minds, and broken families. And in spite of that, we have a president, we have cities that we're running, we have institutions where you all can speak your mind. And it's because of the resilience of our people. We should be on plantations like the Native Americans, almost broken, but we're not, because we're resilient people.
Well, two-part question. In terms of this tradition, this independent black film tradition, tonight after we show Spook, we have some young independent filmmakers that made a documentary about gangs in Los Angeles. I want to know if you could talk a little bit about what insight you could give to them about black filmmaking, as well as kind of tell us the importance of it, and then tell us about some projects you're involved in now.
Okay, there's an African folktale. It's a father talking to his son, and the son said, Dad, you tell me that the lion is the king of the jungle, yet in every book I read, the man always kills the lion. He says, Father, why is that so? So the father looks at his son and says, until the lion learns to write, the story will always end the same. We have an obligation and responsibility to tell our story in a way that is important to us. If some white person came to any of you in this room and they said that they wanted to make a movie about Shirley Temple or about some little dancing white girl, most of you will probably say, no, I'm not interested. I'd rather do something that's more significant to me. Well, that's the same thing that happens when black filmmakers go into white studios and ask for permission to tell our stories. There are so many stories that we need to tell. But I'll give you this as something to consider and to think about. Your art is going to be around a long time after you're gone. Your great-great-grandchildren will see the things that you have produced. And the question becomes, if your great-great-grandchildren are going to see it, do you still write that song? Do you still play that part? Do you, in fact, do that film? Because it will track what you are and who you are well beyond your lifespan. So I challenge you to always consider, as you're producing films, to win, to find subjects where we win, to find subjects where, so if you're going to do something on gangs, let somebody survive. Don't kill everybody off. Why do we want to watch that? Somebody's got to escape. Somebody's got to win. Somebody has to overcome whatever it is that we're up against. If you look at the Rocky movies or Rambo or any of the movies about the superhero folks, they win in spite of everything. Even though they'll wipe out a whole town because the system is built on them winning. We have an obligation to do the same thing. So as filmmakers, find stories that will make us feel good about ourselves. Find stories about the heroes in our communities that are never covered. Find stories that your children and grandchildren will be happy to say, my relative did this. Okay, so in terms of things I'm doing now, I just finished a film that we shot in Nigeria. I was there for 3 months working on a film called 93 Days. It's starring Danny Glover and Tim Reed and 30 of the top Nigerian actors. It's called 93 Days. It deals with Ebola and the Ebola virus and when it hit Nigeria and how they kept it from being a world pandemic. There were 4 doctors that kept this patient in the hospital, put their own lives at risk, and ultimately died. And because they didn't want it to spread. I don't know how many of you would come to class if you knew that somebody with Ebola had been into school. But they went to work anyway. And so the story talks about them and their lives. It's not a documentary, it's a drama. And it's a narrative drama. And it'll be out sometime around the first of the year. We opened in Nigeria in September. And that's my latest project. And we shot it in Nigeria, we did the editing in London, and we're currently doing the music in Hungary now. And it's an international cast, international crew, and it's what I call a Nolly Hollywood production. A lot of people have negative things they feel about Nollywood productions, but we had a wonderful time shooting there, and I look forward to it. So in the last 3 years, I've shot films in Haiti, in Nigeria, in Salvador da Bahia, in Brazil, and in Trinidad. And so it's been great to be in these different communities and see how we are all around the world.
Now, who are some of the people in this latest film?
Danny Glover, he's playing one of the leads. Bimbo Akintola, she's a female Nigerian actress. And we were at an event in Nigeria, and she was like the Beyonce of Nigeria. We came out of the governor's house, and there were people running down the street, dragging on her car. I said, oh, I didn't know who you were. You got it like that. So she's one of the top actresses in Nigeria. So we got some really good folks as part of the cast. There's one English actor, his name is Alistair McKenzie. We brought him in from Britain. He's playing one of the CDC doctors, and the rest of the cast, as I said, is from Nigeria.
Well, I'm trying to get Mr. Rami, Mr. Glover, and hopefully some of the other actors from the film to visit Fresno State next year. You guys think you'd be interested in that?
Yes.
So,
All right, we love to be there, and it's And I'm not trying to diss any of the women that are here in the classroom, but it is so wonderful to see so many men there as well. Because, you know, you get all of these scholarships about the fact that there ain't no black men taking no classes in college. And to see you all there and interested in your history and committed to this kind of discussion is a wonderful thing. So I hope that after you see the film, you will be inspired to tell that type of story. To not only tell it in terms of the visual terms of creating film, but also to articulate the vision of the film as a way to ensure the salvation of our people. One other thing that I wanted to mention, I mentioned this the other day. You know, if you have two black men that are standing on the corner, one has sagging pants, the other has on a suit, the police drive up. Who do the police pick up? Person with the sagging pants, right? Yeah. Okay, so a half hour later, the police drive down the street, brother standing on the corner with a suit on. Who do the police pick up? Brother with the suit. What we wear, we cannot allow the glow of ignorance to distract from those things that are important to our salvation as a people. Because whether we wear sagging pants or whether you dress like President Obama, there are going to be people that will attack your character. There will be people that will do everything they can to diminish your importance and what you have to give. So that means we have to look beyond what people say is important in terms of what we wear to what we do. And so each of you has an obligation, because it only takes one. It takes one person to make a difference. There was one Dr. King that happened to walk into a meeting and he was selected to lead a movement. You know, it takes one person to stand up. You know, there'll be a number of you in this room that can give a heck of a party, that will have a party, and there'll be hundreds of people that will come to it. You can use that same kind of strength and energy to organize a movement, to get people to come and center around you and to stand for something that is as meaningful. So, you know, the question becomes, what is it that you want to do? What will your legacy be? What will you leave on this planet so that you can be remembered? And the best way to be remembered is by doing something that contributes to the upliftment of our people.
We give Mr. Rami a round of applause.
Thank you all for enjoying the film. I look forward to getting some feedback on what you all thought about it. So, enjoy the spook that's set by the door.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
All right. Good night.
Good night.